we built our story where we're just going to drop right into that night. And we're actually going to sort of reveal something that we had withheld in terms of what happens inside that apartment to Maddie.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We're talking all about Bosch Legacy Season 2, and we're picking up after one hell of a cliffhanger. Tell me about putting together the premiere and the direction for the season after Maddie's abduction has everyone totally shook.
We're very pleased to hear that we shook them, because that's the intention. We love like a good cliffhanger that in the right way frustrates you and you want to know what happens next. And in a world where so many things are sort of available at a touch of a button, I love the fact that if you're invested in a story, you have to wait nearly a year plus to get the answer to that. And we wanted to honor that too, which was we built our story where we're just going to drop right into that night. And we're actually going to sort of reveal something that we had withheld in terms of what happens inside that apartment to Maddie, and then just attack that question of how it all resolves itself in the first 2 episodes, like a thriller movie sort of unto itself, which was fun as storytellers because we were trying something we'd never done before. And I hope we honor the audience's patience and investment in it by the time they get to the end of that second episode, that they feel it was a gratifying journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do jump right into the drama and the action of it all. Were there any discussions about taking another route, anything that you kind of scrapped as you decided to go for this interpretation of the story?
That is a good question, because there was some internal dialogue about like, does she, like, the worst fate happen to her?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that she resolves very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think in just the conversation just started to build, and then suddenly it was like, well, what if this is always the fun thing about brainstorming, is you start to ask these series of what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
What if this happened? What if it went and she was here? What if Bosch is obviously powerless because he's no longer in the department? What if J. Edgar is leading the investigation? So all these what ifs sort of led in all of a sudden we were looking at these great story possibilities, but it also lent itself to saying we're going to take the first 2 episodes and build it and hope that it feels like a very satisfying, self-contained story unto itself.
Yeah, and I think, sorry.
No, just quickly adding to that, I think if you do a cliffhanger of this magnitude, you literally leave people not knowing if someone is dead or alive, is a major. You have to really earn that back. You can't just like, hey, we resolve it like in the opening 20 minutes and then we push forward. Especially now when it's been some time. So the ambition quickly was like, let's do this, let's do it right, let's make it a movie. And that's what we hope that the audience now will see, that this is what we wanted to give back to you guys.
And it so pays off. I've seen the first couple episodes and it's such a blast. And we go down a really interesting path with Bosch and, no longer being with the PD, but kind of working in and out with them. Tell me about what fans are about to see and about putting that storyline together.
I think they're going to see a Harry Bosch that they've never seen before, who's really has to go out there both emotionally, personally, and as a father in these heightened circumstances that they've never seen before. That was interesting to us as storytellers, as writers and as storytellers, was how do we place this character in a new situation, reveal him in a new way, do it in the most heightened, intense story scenario, but also make him probably the most powerless he's ever been because he's on the outside looking in. Just in a question that would resonate with any person, especially if they're a parent, is what lengths would you go to rescue and save your child if you knew that this happened to them?
Yeah, and how do you go down that path, uncovering a new side of a character while also maintaining the Bosch that everyone knows and loves? Because I think it was a great balance there.
Oh, thank you. And that's good. That's a good question. A lot of that, I think, attributed to where Titus Welliver has taken this character season to season, being consistent, being Harry Bosch, but also trying to be true to the given circumstances of his story as he's tried to find his footing post LAPD as a private eye, as a father who's concerned about his daughter being a rookie patrol cop on the streets of LA in 2023. And then really just collaborating with him and saying, look, we're going to take this character to some extreme places that we haven't. Like, let's collaborate on this together. And he was all in. He wanted to go to those places. You know, a great example, I think, is in the first episode where he has to visit the morgue. He gets this call from someone on the inside. It says, I hope it's not her, but it fits the physical description. And the worst nightmare for a parent and for Harry might come true. And he has to take that long walk through that dark parking lot into that building and go and look under that sheet. So we're always interested in is, what does the next moment feel like? What is real for that character as he leaves that building? And we had conversations with Titus about what that moment was. And we see a real breakdown of that character that we've never seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. And while this is all going down, we've got the FBI honing in on Bosch and Chandler. Tell me a little bit about that subplot and what's going on there.
Well, that was sort of an outgrowth of something that we pursued in season 1 with the Carl Rogers case, which had its own story circumstances. And one of the things we're always interested in is what are the consequences of characters' actions? We don't want it to just be something that they do in a given episode, and then the next day starts and is as if it never happened. So in this one, a question again that just came up is, well, what if the feds started pulling on this connection of the Carl Rogers murder and the Russian mob, and they started to suspect that Chandler and Bosch were more involved in this than meets the eye. And once you can start to play around with those what ifs, you get excited about what the story possibilities are. And that's something that we were able to kind of put on its feet and pursue in season 2.
Yeah. Well, and Bosch Legacy comes in the first season. Everyone's excited to see the story continue. You stick the landing. Were there any nerves going into season 2 about saying, wow, we've got to keep this momentum and we have to deliver for the fans?
Absolutely. I mean, there's nerves every year because it's like climbing this mountain in dark, foggy circumstances. You're not get to the top in terms of landing it for everything story wise. And we were really proud that we pulled off a season 1 because we didn't know what that show was going to feel and look like and whether people were going to be on board for it. And then we sort of tasked the audience with like having to wait over a year for a cliffhanger that was pretty intense. So I feel like our team has really worked hard to deliver a satisfying season 2, and I hope the audience is happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there anything that each of you are particularly excited for the audience to get to see in season 2?
You want to answer that one, Henry?
Well, I think yes, the answer is yes. And I think it's twofold. Like, one, we have this fantastic movie-like opening, and the great thing is Freevee is releasing 4 episodes in the first weekend, so you get the resolution of that, but then you also get thrusted into what's the rest of the season, the season that has, I love the story about the feds going after him, because that's a formidable foe. No one wants the federal government going after you, be that IRS or whatever it is. They are an enemy that you don't want to play around with, and it's going to have consequences, and it has some bad cops coming after them. It really is if you have enjoyed the previous season of Bosch and that type of storytelling, you're in for a ride. There's a lot of things happening, and I think we're also going to end up this season with a lot of questions and also a lot of excitement going into what we're starting back up today is writing season 3.
Oh, wow. That's so exciting to hear. And I'm super excited for season 3. That's a conversation for next year, I hope.
So, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me about season 2. I cannot wait to see the rest of it. And I know everyone else can't wait to see the premiere.